Yes, my name is Nicholas Patrick. I'm a mission specialist. I work for NASA, and I have flown in space twice. The first time on Discovery, STS-116, and the second time on Endeavour, STS-130, and both were missions to the International Space Station.
So were you Air Force pilot or a civilian, a scientist, or what's your background?
When NASA hired me, I was an engineer working for Boeing actually, and I was a civilian pilot and flight instructor. I got my start flying from the Royal Air Force. I was born in the UK and stayed there through university and flew with the Royal Air Force while I was at Cambridge studying engineering.
So NASA applications were up one day, so you applied. How was that
Essentially,
going?
I wanted to apply since I was a young boy, about 5 years old. I watched the moon landings, and ever since that day I was really excited about becoming an astronaut, and all of my interests happily converged on that career path. I like flying, machinery, diving, and most of all engineering, and those things are a very good background for an astronaut. I applied to NASA. They asked me to come down for an interview. They take 20 people a week for each of about 6 weeks. So 120 people interview out of the 3,000 or so applicants, and the week-long interview was very interesting. There wasn't just an interview; there were medical tests and psychological aptitude tests as well. And at the end of the whole process, they picked about 24 American astronauts, and I was lucky enough to be one of those.
Can you explain us a little bit about the role of the mission specialist?
Yes, NASA had, at least during the time of the shuttle program, which is now over, as you know, NASA had two kinds of astronauts, pilots and mission specialists. The pilots were exclusively from Air Force and Navy test pilot backgrounds, and they were trained to fly the space shuttle, essentially to take off and land the space shuttle. Mission specialists, on the other hand, like me, are trained to do the science experiments, the engineering work on board the shuttle and the space station, and significantly the robotics and spacewalking activities.
So your two missions were STS, that stands for Space Transport System.
Space Transportation System.
Yeah, were numbers
116 and 130. On 116, which flew in December of 2006, I was the lead robotics operator on the shuttle, and operated the shuttle's robot arm to do the post-launch and pre-entry inspections of the shuttle's tiles and wing leading edges. And we also used the shuttle's arm to remove the P5 truss from the payload bay so that it could be attached to the station. On STS-130, I was one of the spacewalkers and performed the 3 spacewalks to attach and outfit the Node 3 and the cupola.
So the inspection of the tiles was introduced after the Columbia accident.
We were the third flight after Columbia, so at that point inspection was very important and still something of an unknown quantity.
So can you just a little bit elaborate on that, because you were under the risk of some of the tiles being detached, they were, so what was going through your mind then?
You know, I don't think any of us was that worried about tiles. The tiles had a long history of being hit by chunks of ice and being partially damaged, and generally coming back without the vehicle being affected. The thing we were most worried about after Columbia was the leading edge of the wings, which are made of large carbon-reinforced carbon panels that were essentially arch-shaped. And if those were breached, that was a much more serious threat to the vehicle. So that was where we put most of our attention.
Your missions, today you received the award for, remind me.
It's the Vladimir Komarov Award in honor of famous Soviet cosmonaut who unfortunately did not survive his entry and landing. But this award is given to the crews of successful space missions, and I was lucky enough to be one of the crew members of STS-130, so I'm accepting this award on their behalf today.
So now we know that the space program in US is being reevaluated. Obama killed off the successor, let's say the high budget successor of the shuttle, and now you are depending upon Russians to shuttle you back and forth to the station. What are your feelings about the about that and the commercial space travel. Can you tell
Well,
me?
as you say, we are reliant at the moment on Russians to take us to and from station using Soyuz. I think that's been going on for several years now, actually. Space station crews have been getting to and from space station using Soyuz. It's a fantastic vehicle, designed very simply and elegantly, and it's been operated for a long time by the Russians. So I have a high degree of confidence in that, and hope I'm lucky enough to fly on it one day. We also are developing the Orion spacecraft at NASA. That's our exploration vehicle that will hopefully go well beyond low Earth orbit, to the moon, to Mars, to an asteroid. And we are helping stimulate the development of commercial spacecraft, some of which have already flown. You know about the SpaceX Dragon that flew earlier this year and will hopefully fly again later this year. So there's actually a lot going on at NASA on three different fronts.
Recent news is that the a competition for new astronauts has been published, and they are expected to be one of those that will go to Mars. Or can you tell me something about that?
Yes, we have just announced that there will be a new astronaut class, I think starting in 2013. I don't know how large it will be, but typically they're 8 to 15 people. And I hope that one of them will go to an asteroid or to Mars, absolutely. They will probably be astronauts beyond 2020, 2025, if they have a 15-year career. And they should see some of those exciting things happen.
So the best job in the world actually entails that you are the most qualified professional in your area.
I wouldn't say the most qualified professional, but you need to be a highly qualified professional in your area to be competitive. It also helps. So, for example, I came from an engineering background and had a PhD in mechanical engineering.
That was a condition for.
No, you don't have to have a PhD. You have to have a master's degree.
Okay.
But it also helps to have other interests: flying, scuba diving. Something that you take very seriously that helps demonstrate to NASA that you can do things beyond the classroom and beyond the office, which is obviously very important for astronauts.
So you had 2 missions. What's next for you in NASA?
I don't know yet. I'm hoping for another mission. I would like to fly as a long-duration crew member on the space station, perhaps getting there via Soyuz. So I'm learning Russian and keeping up with my training, and if I'm lucky, I'll be assigned to one of those missions.
And final question, your, let's say, aftermarket potential can be also with the commercial space. Are you considering that? How does that go for ex-astronauts or astronauts?
That works well for some astronauts. Many of my colleagues who've retired recently have gone on to work for companies like SpaceX and Sierra Nevada, and I think they're having a very interesting time being on the forefront of that push to develop less expensive, smaller, simpler spacecraft. It's a lot of fun for them, and one day I might like to do that too.
Mr. Patrick, thank you very much for this interview for Tango 6 blog. I wish you all the best here in Serbia, and come see us again.
Thank you very much. It's been a great trip. I look forward to coming back.
Thank you.